Right, ladies and gents, it's time for a new project. Coming up to winter and over the Christmas period and into the new year. Obviously I like to do a little bit of something, whether it be sort my race car out or, you know, take on another project. But this one came up and I couldn't resist. As you know, I've been racing the MGF, really struggling with that car. I think it's purely because of the rear wheel drive mid-engine stuff, and it just doesn't suit my kind of driving. So I'm going to be doing something front wheel drive. The long-term plan is that the MGF is going up for sale, and I am going to be building a MGZS 180 race car to compete in the MG Cup, which I've been doing. Haven't started that project yet, and that's going to take a good year to do, so I probably won't make the 2023 season, so I'll be ready for the 2024 season after all the testing. That is the long-term plan. Now in the meantime, I thought I'd dabble in something a little bit different. As I say, this one came up at a reasonable price, so I thought, why not? Yeah, so we went to have a look at it, paid the deposit. I didn't go and have a look at it. I paid the deposit, and then I went to pick it up because it was like a 4-hour journey there and a 4-hour journey back. So I paid the deposit, went and collected it on the trailer, paid the money, and off I went. I didn't really look at it, apart from the very minimal photos that it was on the marketplace, and there was no history on this car. I've got no logbook, I've got no passport, no paperwork, no nothing. So it's literally bought sight unseen off the internet, as they like to say. Obviously apart from the things like half a dozen photos of the car. But I thought we'll get this ready over the winter period and then compete in something for next year, something a little bit different that's not MG related. So yeah, this is an XR challenge car. I think the series is now called ST XR Challenge, which is mainly dominated by Fiesta STs, the 150s, Mark 6. But there's still a couple of XR2s and XR3is that race in that series. It was mainly dominated by these back in the day, but it slowly moved on to the Mark 6 Fiestas. Again, I don't know nothing about this car, but what I have managed to find out is, I'm not sure if you can see that, but in the window there is an outline of a name, Phil Wright. So I've searched up a Phil Wright on Facebook, and there are hundreds of them, absolutely hundreds of them. But I managed to track down the guy that this car used to belong to. So I've done a little bit of Facebook stalking, gone through his pictures, and I'll put a picture in now of what it used to look like. And also there is a small video of this car with it on board from, I don't know if you know this channel at all, but it's used to call Motors TV, and it used to be on the old Sky, again many moons ago. But yeah, there's a short 2-minute video of this car, and again I'll insert that now for your enjoyment.
All set then for round 2 of the championship. It's looking a little bit grey now, possibly some dampness in the air as we get ready for the off, and away we go on board with Philip Wright, who had some work to do of his own on the car after qualifying this morning. How will it fare in the race? That's Simon Robinson directly ahead of us. Stephen Poole, though, gets ahead of him as they go down towards Copse Corner, but up front it's the two blue cars side by side. Michael Blackburn trying to go around the outside there of Mark Robinson as they head into the Copse Corner for the first time, and three abreast further back as well. That's Justin Roberts, who I think has sorted out his engine problems with the white stripe on the back of his car. On board with John Ethan Jones there, trying to go around the outside of Stephen Rouse there as they go into the hairpin at Maggots. But for the lead, it's Mark Robinson in the 69 car from 29 Michael Blackburn. Stephen Poole, as we say, made it up to third on board with Philip Wright, and it looks like he is losing a position there to Paul Bishop, I think that is, in the red number 11 Fiesta. Wright, though, I think does hold on to the lead of the XR3i class into the left-hander at Brooklands for the first time. Then it's Mark Robinson leading from Michael Blackburn, two adversaries from the past. Philip Wright trying to keep tight into the curve there around Luffield for the first time. He's not really, though, making much in the way of inroads on the Paul Bishop car, number 11. And someone going off through the grass there, and on through the gravel, I should say. That looked like the Chris Hamer car, number 15.
Yes, indeed. He's got back up and running, though, with not too much time lost. But at the moment, Michael Blackburn keeping the leader, Mark Robinson, very honest, as he did in qualifying as well. Just 0.08 of a second separating the two cars after the qualifying session. Although, as I say that, as they head down the straight towards Beckett's corner, there is a gap emerging between the top two as Stephen Poole now is all over the back of the blue car with the yellow headlights. Michael Blackburn more concerned about then the car behind him than the one in front, and this is allowing Mark Robinson to open up a gap. We'll go on board with John Ethan Jones, winner of Class B at Mallory Park, and he is following the car of Justin Roberts, number 16, heading down the straight, the national straight towards Brooklands once again.
So that was quite good, wasn't it? And this used to be a class leading car. So yeah, it used to be good. Not so much so now. It's a bit battle scarred. Sorry, this is going to be a video where I'm just going to drone on, and hopefully you'll find it interesting of the history of this car and what we're going to do with it. But yeah, the aim of today is that we are going to have a look over it, see what it needs to come back up to regulations, and write a list basically, and that will be this episode, and then the next episode and so on will be getting it all sorted. And yeah, right, so I've got two choices of what series to put this in. I can go back to the old XR Challenge, which is now the ST XR Challenge, which is run by the BRACC, I believe, or the BRACC, I don't know what it's called. Or I can put it into the classic stock hatch, which this falls into, but I will need to bring it up to their regulations because it doesn't quite meet their regulations. And that's run by the 750 Motor Club. So I've got two options there. The XR Challenge will require less work, but the classic stock hatch will require a few more parts, which are proven to be a little bit more difficult to come across. Things like these side windows, they need to go up and down on either manual or electric regulators. These have all been taken out, and these windows are fixed into the doors. Things like the rear wiper, this has obviously been deleted from the car, but the classic stock hatch requires me to run the rear wiper motor in the car, albeit I don't need it connected and working. So again, that's, if you don't need it connected and working, why do you need it in there to begin with? So yeah, these are like 2 extra things that I need to fit basically. Right, so let's have a look at the car. As you can probably see already, there's been a couple of little love taps on this, and I'm going to warn you now, this is not the best condition car. It's good for an XR3i and it is absolutely rot free. There's a couple of small patches, don't get me wrong, but underneath, which I'll show you in a little while, it's absolutely rot free. Someone's put a rubber bung in there and then painted over it, which is lovely, and it has had a sunroof delete, which is not too bad, but you can see where they've put the filler in and it's starting to crack a little bit. So I think we're going to have to strip that back and have a look at that, but that's not on my immediate list at the minute. My immediate list is to get it running properly and get it up into regulation spec and ready to race on the track. All the other bits, all the fancy bits, and making it look nice will come at a later date. Right, so we've got 2 different wheels, so I'm hoping that I can find another set. Well, I've actually found another set of these ones here, which are dog legs, which will be getting refurbed and some new tyres put on, and then all these ones here will be spares, shall we say. Now, both regulations require me to run Yokohama Avons AO48s, so which is good, so I don't need to chop and change tyres for both of them regulations, so I can get a set of wheels with the right tyres on it and be stuck with them. Right, so we're going to stick on our list. I'm going to write a list. Right, so just looking down this car here, again, this wing, these are normally welded on, but this one has been bolted on, and it's again had a little bit of a love tap, so we might sort that out. A little bit of rust out that windscreen panel, again not really too worried about that at this moment in time. The windscreen is good, it's not heated screen and it hasn't got the heater in the car, so that's something we need to think about later on down the line. Battery cut off, that is, I don't know how that's passed the scrutiny in the past. Yes, it works, but looking at that, I don't know how they can guarantee it's going to work every time. Right, let's go around the back of the car. So the old tailgate's got a little bit of rust on it. That's only the outside skin as well, so it's not the inside skin. Let's had a proper motorsport fuel cap put on. And going down this side, as you can see, just a couple of little knocks and bangs and scrapes. This wing has been replaced at some point, but it's been welded on. Bumper seem okay. The lights are all wonky, so I think again it's had a front end collision at some point, and I pulled the panel out. Although I do think it's had a panel at some point as well, a front panel. Right, I'm going to get a torch because it's a little bit dark in here, and then we'll go under the bonnet. Right, here we are, underneath the bonnet. A little bit of light going on. Right, now when I got this, it didn't start, cold start properly. So we had a little look into that, just so I know that it wasn't fucked basically. I found a broken wire in that mess there that went to the cold start fifth injector. So I paired that, and that's absolutely fine. I've left it over the weekend, and I come into work today and start it, and that's absolutely fine. And I've just removed a lot of the other stuff as well, which was all the old bush fixers, things like this, which wires that just go to nowhere, and you can see them all in there, just ripped out. So yeah, that's that's that, and it starts and runs now, so that is all good. And you see there's a couple of wires here again which don't really go into anywhere. There's a bit of twin core. I think that red one there went to a switch in the dash for the fan, but I ripped that out anyway. We're going to redo that. Anyway, we're digressing. The battery tray underneath that battery is rotten, so I need to do a battery tray, and also the inner wing in there is a little bit rotten. So I think what we'll do is we'll do a battery tray, inner wing and an outer wing, just to tidy this corner up a bit. There's a bit of plate where the heater box used to go, and which just stuck on with some bathroom sealant, I think it was. So I'll rip that off as well, and we'll plate that up properly. What else is there? Breather system that comes out of there and goes into an old washer bottle tank, so we'll need to rectify that and do that properly. The other breather just goes to the crankcase there, which is fine. Yeah, and there's an oil cooler on there as well, as you see, but that goes to nowhere, so we'll need to do that as well. And it's just a case of general servicing, so cam belt, water pump, tensioners, spark plugs, dizzy leads, dizzy cap, oil filter, fuel filter, and all that sort of stuff. So just general servicing bits. Radio looks good, I don't look too old either. You can see where it's had a bit of a smack on that front panel as well. So I have got a front panel which I was going to put on the RS Turbo before I sold it. So it's yeah, we've got that we can use if I need to. But yeah, the bonnet pins are just not very good at all. So they all need redoing, and all the bonnet just doesn't fit right. So it's just a case of we'll do all this corner here, and we'll tidy everything up, try and get it as straight as we can. And I need to remount this oil cooler because at the minute it's behind the bumper with no airflow, so it's actually doing jack shit. Right, so that is underneath the bonnet. Oh, we seem to have a missing bolt in there as well. So again, that's probably a reason why it doesn't fit very well. So yeah, that is the general aspect of that. So we'll go into the inside. It's got a safety devices cage, which has been modified extensively, shall we say. It's had some crossbars put in it, and these door bars all been welded in and stuff like that. So that's got a harness bar at the back here on the passenger side, but not on the driver's side. The harnesses go into the floor, so again we need to check the regulations of the angle on them. You can still have them under the floor as long as you've got a plate behind it to brace the floor to a certain diameter, I think. So we need to check that as well. And I believe we will need to replace these belts because I think they are out of date and they're incorrect for Hans device. So yeah, 2017, so they're well out of date. And The seat is fine. You don't need to have these dated, so they are, as long as the motorsport seat, you're good. So these don't have to be in date, and being the older Evo, they're slightly wider than the standard newer Evo, so I can fit my fat ass in there anyway. So that's, seat is good, the seat mounters are good, belts need to be replaced, and we need to replace the fire extinguisher as well. A, that's out of date, and B, that's the wrong size now. So that's another thing we need to sort out and replace. Another thing which I found annoying on this car is they've put this door bar on, which makes it really difficult to get in and out of the car, but also they've welded this door bar on in front of the door handle. So you have to flex that door in, as you see it's a little bit flexy, flex it in to then pull the handle to open the door. So I think we might revisit that bar and get that bar in there, and I might get a harness bar that goes across the back while it's in there having it done. And it's just things like down here where it's bolted to the foot plates aren't boxed. I'm pretty sure the foot plates need to be boxed. So yes, that is that. And again, if I was to run this into the 750 Motor Club stock hot hatch, I'll need to put winders in and fully working windows. Although the windows can be polycarbonate, they need to be working. Sorry, this is a bit of a drone on video, but I thought I'd give you a good introduction into this car, to give you as much information as possible, really. Yeah, this is all good, so that can stay as it is. The harness bar has been put on, but the diagonal bar that goes from the roof to the floor isn't in line with the bar that go down onto the wheel wells. So yeah, I'm gonna have to speak to my cage guy and see what he suggests. But that's the sunroof that's been deleted. Actually, not a bad job, to be honest with you. So it just needs a little bit of fettling, so we'll keep that. And another thing I'll probably have done, if we're having cage work done, is I'll probably have a crossbar on the roof, just because it gives you a little bit more protection. If I was to ever roll this car, which I hope I never will, but you can never say never. Another problem that I have, if I was to go into the stock hot hatch, that the roll cage can only be mounted by the 6 mounting points onto the floor. So you've got your 2 front, your 2 middle, and your 2 rear. Now this has had strengthening braces welded to the B pillars and to the A pillars and to the roof. So that's going to make it extremely difficult to go into that class of racing, unfortunately. So yeah, which then leaves us to have it into the XR Challenge again, unless I take all them out. There's a lot of work to take all them out. In the dash, it's all broken, so we need to find some trims, and also the all the fire extinguisher battery cut off, that was all loose, and if I pulled that electric safety cut off, it pulled that plate straight out of the dash, so that was no good. so we need to revisit that as well. But I might get some plates in there and get a couple of gauges in there for the oil pressure and oil temperature and stuff like that. Being an old car, it might be worth it in a sense. So yeah, that is the inside. Oh yeah, the other thing it had is that little light on the dash, that little orange light. That's a rev limiter, and a little shift light rev limiter boxes in there. Again, old school one, but it worked. So we might connect that back up again. Right, let's get it up in the air and show you underneath. Right, we're up in the air now, and I'll show you around the old motor. As you can see, no you can't, but as you can see, let's see if I can put that in there like that. The chassis legs and the spring hangers and all that are pretty rot free. Well, they are rot free. Even the inner sills, which I don't think you can see very well, even the inner sills are reasonably good, and the floor plans as well. The fuel tank is pretty rot free. Again, we'll probably drop all this anyway and flush it all out, give it a paint. The fuel cradle, again, don't see many of these which are still attached and rot free, but what we'll do is probably get all that out and give that a bit of a blast and a paint, and replace that pipe. That pipe's looking a little bit redundant. Yeah, underneath here, all new gas suspension. I'm not sure what springs they are. They could be gas springs, but I think they're a little bit too low really for what I want. So we'll see if we can get them out and see what they are, and maybe go for something that's a little bit taller, because it do sit on its arse quite well. All in here, as you see, pretty rot free, a little bit of surface rust, but not bad at all. It's got braided lines on it, which is good. I don't need to sort anything out with that. We'll go down here. Oh, that pipe looks a little bit mouldy and horrible, doesn't it? I don't know what that pipe is for, but I think this one here is your feed. I'm not too sure what the other one is. I guess it's a return. I don't know why I go to the bottom of the car. There's a little bit of oil kicking around underneath here, which we're going to have to clean off, I guess, and see where that's coming from. All the pipes look good. I think we'll see if we can try and, I think you can still get hold of the pipe clips that clip all the pipes in place, so we'll see if we can sort that out. The engine looks rather dry, a little bit leak from the oil filter, so that could be the issue that we're having with the leaks. Let me put that down there. So yeah, I don't know what exhaust it is. It's got the standard manifold, which again in the XR challenge I can change for a 4-branch if I wanted to, but on the, again in the stock hot hatch, it needs to be the standard manifold, but everything from the manifold back is free. So again, what challenge we'll go into, I don't know yet. All them bolts look a little bit on the funny side. So I have got a full underside bolt kit for one of these, which I got from my other XR3i, which is going to be another project. So I might use that in the meantime to tidy up all these underneath bolts. We'll get all this, probably get all the suspension off, just give it a good service, check all the bushes. I mean, it looks like it's got some poly bush, the actual brand poly bushes in, being that they're orange. So you see there's a good old fucking whack in there. Again, gas coilovers, which is nice. The proper race series ones as well. Yeah, these tyres look a little bit on the low side at the front, so we'll have to change them anyway. Not too sure what brakes they are. I think, looking at them, they are the standard XR3i brakes, again with braided lines. But we'll have all that out again anyway. But all this underneath here, a little bit of surface rust, but normally all this is rotten out on these Mark IV Escorts. So that's nice. And probably see up in there the poor repair up in there. So I think we'll end up putting a inner wing on that, just to make it a bit nice. But I don't know what pads are in this. I don't know, there's no writing on them, so we won't know until they come out, but we'll replace the pads and discs anyway. Has it got an LSD? Yes. Well, it's got an RS turbo box in it then, which is nice. Again, on the classic stock hatch, I can't run an LSD, so that then puts us back into the STR XR challenge. All up in there, look, that's all nice. You can see that wing's been replaced at some point. You can see a couple of welds on there. This bumper's just held on with bloody cable ties, so I'm guessing all the mounting bolts for this bumper's knackered. Again, you see a couple of little blobs in there where that wing's been replaced. I guess they didn't fully weld it in, because with these cars they'll just get hit off again, so the less you weld them in, the easier they are to replace. Oh, there's a little bit of rot there, look, on that rear arch. Lots of filler in there, so that's been twatted at some point. But apart from that, all looks reasonably good. Again, that's all just superficial, so that can be replaced at whatever. I don't know what exhaust this is, so again, loads of filler in there. Again, this is all superficial, so but that arch looks good in there. So we can probably get away, getting all that filler out and pulling it out with a stud puller and dressing it up and repainting it. Again, there, that's been twatted there as well. But to be honest with you, how old is this car now? Over 30 years old. A little bit of rot there, look. This car's over 30 years old and it's done well. It has done well just keeping this condition, because as I say, these cars normally rot out here, there, everywhere. Right, let's just check all our bushers. Seems good. That's not so good. I like to call that the rear dynamic tow control. So let's see where that's coming from and go from there. Right, I think what I'll do is I'll pull the wheels off and we'll have a proper look with the wheels off. Right, wheels off. Let's have a closer inspection of this. There we go. It's all nice, isn't it? I think that spring's been cut. Again, I don't know what springs they are, but I think the play is in these bushes here. So we'll have to readdress them, get some new ones or something. But as you see, that shock is like new, which is nice. Again, I think we'll replace the drums and the shoes and the slave cylinders just to be on the safe side. Let's have a look in this one here. Again, shock's in really good condition. It's got one bolt in it for the bumper. You can see all the damage it's had in the past. It's not good, is it? And see what I mean by the shoddy repair up there. So we'll have to again investigate that and maybe put in a wing on it. But yeah, and this wing here has just been cable tied on at the bottom, bolted in at the top, and it's just all bent out of shape, so we'll stick another wing on it as well, just to be on the good side. I can see something on that, something, is it Mintex Racing maybe pads? But they look really good condition, look almost new, so they might just want to clean up and we'll put a set of new discs on it. Yeah, a little bit of lip on the inside of the disc, but saves a bit of dollar. Let me see that. Loads of body or welding there, look. But you got to expect that from a 30-year-old race car, so. And it's had a, is that part of the wing? Yeah, it's part of the wing in there. So yeah, it's just a case of just going through it and seeing what it is. That rose joint there, or spherical bearing, I should say. Not sure if they come with spherical bearings from the factory or not, or whether they are bushed. But that one looks okay. Again, in this inner wing, it's absolutely fine. You can see where the wheel's been rubbing, look. And yeah, that wing doesn't look too good, look. Doesn't look too sharp in there. Again, I think that's all part of the front panel that's broken off on that wing. There's had a little bit of a knock, and you see that's all bent out of shape there on the inner wing there. But at the end of the day, it's only got a hole in the bumper and the headlights, and the rest is superficial. Let's have a look at the other back one. That brake line isn't secured very well, is it? So I think we'll have to visit them brake lines. That shock. A little bit of surface rust on that shock for some reason. Unless that's the old one and the one on the other side's been replaced. But there we go. You see that rust a little bit better there. Again, that's just superficial rust that can be easily repaired. That can. Whether I'll do it this side or not, here's another matter. I might concentrate on getting the car drivable and raceable and doing a couple of races in it, and then if I decide I like it, I'll keep it and get the bodywork done. But again, we'll replace all these drums, I reckon, drum shoes and cylinders, just to be on the safe side. Again, odd bolts here, there and everywhere. But I have, as I say, I have got the bolt kit, which comes with all new bolts and nuts as they were from the factory. It's a restoration bolt kit. So yeah, might take his arms off. We'd take the fuel tank off anyway, but might take all the suspension off and just give it a little bit of a shot blast and a paint, just to tidy up a little bit. But underneath here is so clean and tidy. I'm really shocked. Well, for the money I paid for it, is bloody good, I think, anyway. But yeah, that is, you can see how little airflow that oil cooler's getting, so we'll have to visit that one. But yeah, I think that will do us for today, for this episode anyway. I don't know how long it's going to be. I guess 15-20 minutes long of me rambling. But you know, I hope you enjoyed and stick around and like the journey that I'm going to go on with this one, and a little bit of history. And as we go along, as I say, I've only got this car, so as we go along we'll delve a little bit deeper into the history of this car and see if we can get some more footage. And yeah, and go from there really. But this is, I think, a piece of history that we're going to try and relive and have some fun, and more to the point. As I say, I don't really take my racing too seriously. It's all about having a go and gaining some experience and doing something that I always wanted to do. But anyway, I'm going to leave it here. I've got a massive list that I need to work through and decide what bits we're going to do first, and start ordering some bits and go from there. So I'll say goodbye for now, and we'll see you in the next episode of the XR Challenge XR3i car restoration, shall we say.